สวัสดีครับ
Dr. Jan, are you here?
สวัสดีค่ะ I'm
สบาย
here
นะคะ Good.
สวัสดีครับอาจารย์ครับ
ค่ะขอบคุณค่ะ Shall we start?
Let's start. Maybe Leanne, if you are still here, we can just talk about that topic of being busy. Leanne was just saying that even when she's not doing her job, she's still very busy all the time. And I was saying, well, it's different by accumulations. And she was saying, oh, so bad. But actually, opportunities for kusala, and it's still just one moment at a time. Anything else to add, Leanne?
I realize that there's so much kusala in like everyday life. So many, can't count, countless. And before I knew it, it disappeared, and then another one lining up nonstop. And yeah, and then I'm just having this reflection, and I don't know if this is the wise reflection at all, but like when I was like taking my dogs out for walk, and then recently, for whatever reason, for some reason, I have to take care of two butchies. So since I got the two butchies, I pay attention to more, some of the grass with the flower or the seed that I pick from my garden or on the way when I take my dogs out to for a walk. I pay more attention to grab those little grass, with the small seed from my butchies. And then everywhere previously I didn't pay attention, but now I started seeing on my walk. I noticed, like there's a little that seed grass pop up. So I'm thinking at that moment when I start, collecting those grass, I'm thinking like this is like Dharma when we pay attention, to like not when your mind you looking or thinking about realities, then you will see more realities, will think about more realities, similar to what I was doing with collecting grass for my budgies. I don't know if this is this is a wise reflection or not.
So I think whether one's busy doing this or that, whether one's working or not working, whether one's in quiet environment or busy environment, Loba leads the way. So Loba's always looking for something to entertain one, no matter whether it's looking for the pieces of grass, looking for the budgies, looking for the person one wants to be with. But Loba is always there, following the seeing, the hearing, the smelling, the tasting, the touching, the thinking all day long. But it's just the way it is. And we think, oh, if I stop my job or if I don't have the budgets or this or that, it will be different. But it's just the same by accumulations. So the accumulations lead no matter the circumstances, Dhamma, the way it is, it has to be like that. But they're all just different dharmas, the clinging, the seeing, the thinking about whatever it is. all conditioned and all anatta, all gone immediately.
Sure. But I think without understanding a bit about the Dharma, about realities, we wouldn't know, we wouldn't pay attention to certain characteristic of realities. Like, I would start to thinking, oh, okay, I can see that is attachment right there and then, even though we don't really experience directly, but we kind of know because it's repeated many times. So we can sort of know that is what loba is like, or dosa. But before we wouldn't think that is think about realities at all. But now I started sort of thinking a little bit about it more.
But usually, like in the example you gave, usually it's just thinking about the story of Loba, the story of Dosa, and taking it for mine. Oh, my accumulation, so much Loba, so bad. It's because why does it seem so bad? Because it's mine. So, or one would like it to be another way instead of just understanding and accepting it's just Dhamma that arises and is gone. And it's at this very moment. That's so common. Perhaps Ajahn would like to add some more.
All Adamas, is this firm enough? It has to be great patience, not just to not remember, not forgetting that it's now Adama. But the story comes in all day until the understanding of Dhamma develops little by little to not just understand the word, all Adamas now, but to realize the truth, see, more and more patience, great courage, not to forget the truth. Otherwise, we can talk about it. But at this moment, it is at Dhamma each moment. That's why understanding of the truth, that the truth is so very subtle, and ignorance, no understanding of any reality of what is there at all, covers up the truth on and on and on and on and on until every moment in life, without hearing the teaching, without considering that it's so very, very precious to understand the truth. But it takes quite a long, long time not to think about oneself, not to try to have such and such knowledge, but to understand the way it is. Only right understanding of what is there can condition lesser and lesser clinging to what in life as someone and something all the time. Is that true? And that is the only way to understand the truth. The truth is so very subtle. So whatever is there is taken for someone and something in some events in one's life or all the time. That's why listen to the truth and understand the subtlety of the truth is the only way to condition more courage to not forget that it has to be known directly as it is. Otherwise, it's just the idea or just about no self, conventional term, conventional idea. But the truth is that each word of truth is told. So without listen again, talking about it again, condition it again, the moment of letting go the idea of self, little by little, and that is so very long, long way. But without such understanding, it's impossible to realize all Adamas. And if it's not all yet, it's a moment of clinging to it as someone or I, unknowingly all the time, even it's now. That's why just listen and consider Dhammas are conditioned to arise. So it arises now from moment to moment as something all the time. That's why a little more understanding is a little more letting go, wrong understanding of what is there in life from birth to death. That's why understanding the truth, and it is such a barami, be truthful to the truth, that it can be known gradually, so very gradually, until wrong understanding is completely eradicated. It is true, that's all. Just have the understanding of the truth.
Thank you, Ajahn. Yes, at the moment there's always story about dosa. Yeah, I realize that it's happened all the time.
And it's the same for everyone, for all of us. We all love our stories so much. So because of Loba, there's thinking about one story after another, and then Loba follows on and on and on, never ending, all day, one after the other, and usually no understanding of just what appears now. But no need to think badly about it or have dosa about it, because then it's just more akusala. It's just the way it is. Cannot be any other way. But like you say, good to hear the Dhamma and to appreciate the truth and understand the root of the problems in life. Otherwise, we think everything is just fine and nothing harmful about accumulating loba and ignorance on and on, as usual. And Ajahn was just mentioning the great patience and courage which has to develop to understand the truth. And we were talking about this topic yesterday in the Vietnamese discussion. I think you were probably listening about, we were talking about how there's virya now, kusala and akusala virya, but to really understand the truth, there has to be a lot more strong virya, kanti, parami, which doesn't give up no matter what the situation, no matter the circumstances. So there are different terms used for different degrees, like panya and panindriya, sati and satindriya, when it's strong, when it's the development of satipatthana. And Ajahn was giving the example of when someone speaks harshly and or tries to stop one sharing the Dhamma, and it needs kanti parami to continue on. When there are obstacles, it needs kanti parami, not just virya parami, like now when there's some kusala or some understanding. So no matter what the circumstances, the understanding has to develop, but without that kanti parami, the strong patience, the strong understanding, there isn't a way. And so kanti parami is needed for vipassana jnanas, for insight, for clear understanding into realities at any time. So I thought it's quite useful, quite interesting. So when the loba is very strong, or the dosa is very strong, or circumstances are difficult, kanti parami has to develop at those times.
And even just now, to understand seeing as it is, it needs strong and great kanti too, right? Just from one moment to another moment with patience, because it's there, which can be known, but it's not known now. So it is kanti, great kanti, to begin to understand the subtlety of what is there that can be realized, but not by no understanding and no patience, no kanti, no courage. So it's more subtle than we talk about just daily life,
Mm.
much more.
And to give up the idea of I at moments of understanding, seeing or hearing now, or loba now, it takes kanti. To give up the idea of looking for a way or a shortcut or how to do something in daily life, but to just understand what appears now takes strong development of patience with understanding.
And it's great kanti not to follow the wrong path, because the wrong path is so very easy.
And that's why often people may listen for a while, but then turn again to the wrong path or practice or follow teachers who encourage the focusing on particular objects because it seems easier and it seems like a quick result, but no understanding develops at all, not enough patience and firm confidence in the truth now, or when anyone thinks that it's not so applicable in daily life, like in the marketplace, or like you say, when busy feeding your budgies or at work, then it shows not enough kanti and firm understanding. So it has to be any time, any moment to understand it's just Dhamma. No one here, no one there, no budgie in reality.
Thank you, Ajahn and Sarah, your explanation. So when you said it need kanti to follow the right path, I kind of understand, but I was thinking that it needs right understanding. But of course, then virya, kanti, it will always arise together with right understanding. So, and then like a helping hand for us to go on the right path. But definitely have to be the main factor, need to be right understanding, right? Because without right understanding, then there won't be kanti.
That's why what are barami must be by understanding.
Yep. Yes, Ajahn.
Is it now?
Then it can be. There may be
Any moment of understanding the truth, it's kanti to understand more and more and more and more. And to understand that it's not I, see, the will is not I. All dhammas are anatta. When it's forgotten, it's I all day. That's why it's so very, very subtle that it needs kanti only to be conditioned to understand the truth.
So it's not canty to understand, but it help the right understanding to understand the truth. Is that right?
Panya Parami is not Kanti Parami.
Yeah.
With only Panya is not enough. Because without all other Paramis, it cannot understand more.
Right.
And without understand the Paramis, can there be right understanding of what is there now as it is? Not so. What is there is Dhamma. All are Dhammas. All Dhammas are Anatta.
But they arise together, right, John? It's not like one come first and then another one after.
Can a reality arise alone?
No.
With Satya, see, come back again to the truth with Kanti to understand very firmly.
So it is the virya that arises with panya, but there can be a little virya or very great virya. So it's the strong virya that develops with the firm understanding. When there's not the strong virya, the strong kanti, then the understanding isn't firm enough, isn't strong enough, and that's why easy to look for other ways, look for shortcuts and so on, because it's not firm enough understanding and confidence, and not enough patience, not enough kanti developing with it. So they develop together. Someone may hear a little and it seems sensible, but then go looking for a quiet place, have the idea that a quiet place or physical seclusion is more appropriate because it's not enough understanding of seeing right now, anytime, any place, hearing now, anytime, any place. They have the idea it needs special time, special occasion. So they shut off from the ordinary way of living, feeding the budgies, going to work, taking care of the home, and so on, thinking that it will be easier without the work, without the budgies, without the shopping in the market. But that's not the firm confidence and the firm patience and firm understanding of the truth now.
Leanne, you said they arise together, and that is correct because it's understanding of that conditions, that is patience that supports the understanding. So it's not as though, and I think this is just a little comment, it's not as though the patience has to be developed separately. But there are times when the patience is apparent and the understanding is not. And there may be times when the understanding is patience. So although they support each other at different times, then different aspects or different mental factors can be more. And both need to be reflected on in order to appreciate their significance.
It's a bit hard to hear you, John. It's a bit hard to hear you. It's a bit hard to hear you. The voice not very.
Sorry about that. Is that better? Can you hear
Yes.
better now?
Yep. Yep.
Yes.
Thank you.
I was in effect saying that at different times, different aspects are more apparent. So the patients may be more apparent at times. And it's not apparent when the patience is there that the patience is actually conditioned by the understanding that has already been developed. And at other times there may be some understanding, no apparent patience, but the patience is there also. Yeah. So it's not as though, as we said, they need to be, it's not as though they're each developed separately. They develop together and rely on each other. But it's a question of what is more apparent at a given time.
Yeah. Yeah. I get it. Thank you, John. Thank you. Yeah, they're supporting one another. However, I'm still thinking, without our understanding, there won't be Kanti. It won't be Virya, right? But then without Virya, can there be understanding? No, they need to be together.
Yes, but it happens. It just happens by nature. So we don't need to unravel the conundrum of which comes first.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Both have been developed in the past. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here now. So which is more apparent at a given time just depends on conditions. But also it's useful, as I was saying, to reflect upon the importance of each. Each has its role to play, and it's helpful to discuss and consider that from time to time. But we don't have to get in a tangle as to which is going to happen first or which needs to be more than the other, because that's all down to conditions.
Yeah, I think I was thinking more like stories about
Yes.
those.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, because I'm quite lazy lately. I've been very lazy, and I'm thinking, okay, there's no, if I'm thinking, if I'm more patient, I'm more, put more effort in, there may be more understanding, but that's incorrect because that's still the story about I think I can create it more, but
Yes.
and the condition for understanding is not not about I try to put effort in, but it's about, yeah. Hi, Anne.
And that is not understanding Virya as a Dharma that arises by condition, Kusala and Akusala Chitta, Akusala Virya, as soon as there's an idea of I and making an effort and being too lazy and all these other things. So Kusala Virya develops with Kusala Chittas, not by I. And not by clinging or wishing or thinking I'm too lazy, how can I change it? Because even at those moments, there can be kusala, there can be understanding and kusala virya, even at that moment.
Thank you. I think I will leave it to for other people to ask questions. Thank you so much, John, Sarah, and Ajahn.
Hi, Anne. We're talking about Virya and Kanti, Virya and Kanti Parami. And there was an interesting discussion yesterday, and Ajahn was talking about degrees of Virya. So when it's just a little Virya, a little Kusala Virya, for example, when there's wise consideration of dharmas or wise consideration of anything with kusala. Virya, of course, is there, but only when it's strong and firm. For example, moments of directly understanding, seeing now or hearing now, or when there are obstacles or difficulties in life, when someone speaks harshly, but one continues on sharing the Dharma, or there is firm understanding, then it is Kanti Parami, just like Sati and Satindriya when it's strong Sati at moments of Satipatthana, or Panya and Panindriya when it is the understanding moments of Satipatthana. So we're talking about degrees of Virya and Kanti, and how without the development of Kanti, understanding cannot develop, there cannot be Vipassana Jnana, for example. And even now the Kanti has to be firm enough to directly understand the truth. So we may think about different circumstances in life. Leanne gave some examples, thinking we're too busy, or it's too difficult at this time, or I'm taking care of the budgets, or going to work, or my accumulations are too active. But this is not the understanding with Kanti of what appears right now when we think of situations and circumstances. And Ajahn was stressing how easy it is to follow the wrong path, but to develop the right path needs the development of Kanti, firm, strong patience with understanding. But I thought it may be interesting for you because of your work on the paramis and how we're used to thinking of Virya Parami and Kanti Parami as distinct. But Ajahn was stressing it's just a matter of the degree of patience and courage. Do you have any comment? Sorry, we can't hear you, Anne. Sorry, Ajahn, carry on.
For example, right now, is there enough understanding of the subtlety of Dhamma? See, even it's just very short term, like what can be known is now, because the past is gone and the future hasn't come yet. How much confidence and firm understanding of the truth. It has to be now. So if there is idea that I'll go somewhere, is there understanding firm enough about what can be known is now, because it's there as the nimitta. So careful considering, wise considering can understand the truth, what is right and what is wrong. If it's not understanding of that which is now appearing, it's at the teaching of the Buddha. What can be known? The past has gone and the future hasn't come yet. That's why it needs so much kanti, even to consider the truth, to follow the truth, not to go wrong, because Dhamma is so very subtle. Just the understanding of this stop the idea of going to do something somewhere. Right understanding is not wrong. So what is right and what is wrong has to be known. That's why there's now seeing, many moments of seeing in life with our understanding seeing, and try to do something try to experience something else, is that the teachings of the Buddha, the enlightened one, the word of truth, so true that it is Ariya Satya Dhamma. That's why each word should be considered carefully to understand the subtlety of Dhamma.
Anne, we're not hearing you, Anne. Still not hearing you. You need to unmute. You're still muted.
Are you having problems unmuting, Anne? You might have to do a restart.
While we're waiting for Anne, does anyone else have anything they would like to mention or bring up? Go ahead, Tam Tan.
How are you and Ajahn and everyone?
It's very well. Go ahead, Tan.
You mentioned before about the Indias. I just want to confirm with you, or just to or understand better. To have Dhamma with Indians, is that including always including Virya and Khanti? Because there are 5 in India. There are 5. There's Sthana, Sati, Samadhi, Panya, and I think Virya as well.
So the sati now that arises at a moment of kusala, at a moment of understanding, is not indriya, because it's not the strong, firm sati that arises at moments of directly understanding what appears now, visible object now, for example. So only when it's strong and very firm at those moments of right understanding is it satindriya. But it cannot arise alone at that moment. There has to be panya, which is indriya, which is also strong. There has to be samadhi, there has to be virya, has to be sada. So they all arise together, support each other at those moments. So even though certain qualities are referred to as indriyas because they are strong and powerful at those moments, but actually the kusala qualities, sobhana cetasikas, all arise together to experience the object. That's why without strong, firm virya, without khanti, sati cannot be aware of the reality. Panya cannot understand it.
Thank you. So they all have to be together. Thank you.
Just like now, even when there's a little understanding, there has to be the support of virya and sati and samadhi and sada and virya, always there together, conditioning each other, conditioning the citta, conditioned by the citta, all arising together, experiencing the same object. So when those qualities develop and become firmer and firmer until it is the direct understanding of the object which appears well, only then can it be the indriya, satindriya, panyindriya, and so on. And even then they have to develop even further to become powers, balas. But it's always the same qualities the same object, but it's the degree of sati, the degree of panya, the degree of virya that we're talking about.
Thank you. But this is the right Indriya. But if you said that virya come in right virya and wrong virya, and if it's on the wrong one, they all come together except panya. Is that right? They all support.
Yes, if it's for example, if there can be strong focusing on object, which is the wrong path, trying to be aware of an object at that moment, no panya, because there's ignorance and attachment, no sati either, but there is still strong concentration, there is still strong virya, no sada, because no kusala at that moment. So sada, sati, panya only arise with kusala chittas, but virya arises with almost every chitta except for 16 of the 18 ahetuka, rootless chittas. Otherwise, it's there at each moment. So at moments of seeing and hearing, no virya. But as soon as lobha follows, virya is there. As soon as kindness is there, virya is there.
But can they have Indriya as well, even though it's the wrong one?
No, because the Indriya refers to the wholesome factors. So there can be very strong virya, for example, when robbing a bank and focusing on the safe to open, very strong virya, but it's not, none of the factors are Indriyas. So the Indriyas just refer to the wholesome qualities.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's very clear now. Thank you.
So Indriya and Samadhi have to be with the right understanding and sati. So there can be strong virya and strong samadhi at other times, but it's akusala, not indriyas. And would you like to try again? Still not. Okay, no problem. Daily life, no matter what obstacles, what problems there can be, understanding even now, just still different dhammas.
I have a question, if that's okay.
Go ahead, Zee.
Okay, it's from my little notebook. And I've written down kusala can be kusala, vipaka, or giriya, and giriya. Akusala can only be akusala, and I don't understand what that means. So if I could have an explanation. It's the 2016, so it's a long time ago. And so I have no idea how one can be kusala, vipaka, and giriya, and akusala can only be akusala, cannot be vipaka or giriya.
Maybe you're referring to sobhana chaitasikas, which can be kusala, kusala vipaka, or kiriya, and but akusala there can be akusala vipaka or akusala dhammas. So I'm not sure.
No.
And
well,
really, when we talk about the vipaka is actually not kusala or akusala. It means it's the result of kusala or the result of akusala, but it can arise when it's kusala vipaka, for example, the birth in this life, it arises together with wholesome factors, but the akusala vipaka doesn't. So maybe that's what you're referring to. The akusala vipaka is rootless.
Yes, yeah. I thought it might have been something like that, but I don't think I need to go into it because I mean it just says kusala and then akusala. So I don't know. Yeah, we'll just forget that one. It's not making a lot of sense to me. And if that's all I've got, maybe I should look up Intl.Dhamma and sort it out a little bit more and see if I can sort it out for myself.
I think, as Sarah said, the what you're referring to is the sobhana mental factors. They can arise with kusala citta, with vipaka citta,
Yes.
as in the case of the rebirth citta, and the kiriya citta also, as in the case of the arahat. But the akusala mental factors only arise with akusala citta.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, sorry, Sarah. Maybe I just wasn't listening properly, but yeah, thanks, John. That's clearer. So thank you to both of you.
I think that was probably the point behind it, differentiating between the sobhana chaitasikas and the akusala chaitasikas. The akusala chaitasikas can only arise with akusala cittas, whereas the sobhana chaitasikas arise with kusala cittas, vipaka cittas with roots, and the kiriya cittas of the arahat.
Yes. Okay. Well,
I was just repeating what Sarah had said.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. No,
and I'm just repeating it again.
Okay. Well, it's it makes a lot more sense because now I realize I did know that the sobhana chaitasikas arise with all three, whereas the akusala is only akusala. Okay, thank you.
Let's consider at moment of dosa, is it vipaka?
At the moment of dosa, no, it's not vipaka.
So it has to be akusala, right?
Right, Ajahn.
But when it's kusala, alobha, adosa, amoha, can it be kiriya and vipaka?
Well, according to the answers I've received, yes, it can.
When we say that all hetu, the hetu condition with a vipaka, we talk about akusala hetu, right? Akusala dhamma is hetu for akusala vipaka, right?
Yes, Ajahn.
And when it is kusala, it condition vipaka, kusala vipaka, no doubt. And what about kiriya for arahata? It does mean that he still have kusala, but he has kusala vipaka, akusala vipaka, and kiriya instead of kusala and akusala.
Yeah. Yes.
So the sobhana citta can be kusala or vipaka. That's why in the animal realms, the vipaka for patisanti citta is only santirana, akusala vipaka, right? No more, because akusala karma condition only how many akusala vipaka, see, that's all. But for kusala, it condition, we can say kiriya and vipaka too.
It's quite
And when it is kusala vipaka, it's not just like this Cetasikas arises together to be elephant and ant or whatever. But people in the Devabhuma and other things say different by different degrees of kusala. But that's why we have to consider how many akusala vipaka conditioned by akusala karma. That's all. Right? But at birth, people are different. Even at moment of birth, in different planes, Sukati planes. Right? And the vipaka of the Sukati plane, we think about the seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, including what are the in Patisantichitta of each different levels of kusala. Right? Kusala vipaka must have vipaka cetasika arising with the kusala vipaka, right? How many cetasikas arise with kusala? Much more than a kusala moment. And it conditions more than just the seeing, hearing, smelling, touching, including the cetasikas which arises with kusala vipaka at birth, to be able to develop higher panya, to reach moment of kusala condition vipaka, and also the chati of kiriya too. According to the four chatis, kusala, akusala, and vipaka, and kiriya. See, for akusala it is only akusala vipaka. For kusala it is kusala vipaka, and also kiriya. So what is the question? Only akusala cetasika can be akusala chati. It cannot be vipaka.
Right.
It cannot be kiriya. But for kusala, so many cetasika, wholesome cetasikas, arising to condition a moment of kusala. So the vipaka is different from different degrees of kusala. That's why even the birth consciousness, some arises with panya and some does not arise with panya, right? For example.
Right.
That's right. There can be sopana cetasika, kusala, vipaka, and kiriya. That's right. Kusala citta, condition kusala vipaka, different degrees, different planes of existence, and different by panya develop to the degree of no more kusala, but only kiriya.
I'm still a bit confused as to why akusala
Can akusala
cannot be akusala vipaka.
akusala karma condition akusala vipaka?
Right.
Only. Can it be kiriya arahata?
No, definitely not.
So akusala karma condition akusala vipaka. Right?
Right.
And kusala karma condition kusala vipaka,
Yes.
and also kiriya.
Right. Okay. Can it be? Okay, that makes sense. Yes. I think it's the way I noted it. It was from a discussion a long time ago, and the way I've written it, I just didn't understand, but you've made it. Yeah, that's clearer, Ajahn. Thank you.
So two jati for akusala kamma, and akusala vipaka. But for kusala more than that.
3. So it's kusala, vipaka, and giriya.
Right.
Right. Okay. Okay. And a while ago you spoke about the Santirana Jitta is the Patisanti Jitta for Agusala.
Vipaka.
Yes. And so so for
In what plane?
in the
No,
any
matter
plane
what.
below human realm.
Or in the
Human
human realm when there are no roots.
Oh, right.
You know, for example, when born deformed and
Right.
handicapped. So,
Yes.
and that's the point about if there are no roots. So if there are no roots, then it's a result of very weak kusala. And if there are no, so all animal births are the result of santirana, the conditioned by the santirana citta, which is rootless. So no roots, so no wholesome or unwholesome roots when the birth is conditioned by the santirana citta. So in the human realm, no alobha, dosa, amoha as roots. So no wholesome factors depending on those roots. And in the animal or insect realms, no akusala roots. So that's why no akusala factors depending on those roots, because they're rootless chittas. The birth is rootless.
Which just by that's the way it is, that rootless rebirth is always in a lower plane, or you know, as a maybe in the human realm, but with a lot of difficulties.
Yes.
Right. Right. So okay, the next question would be, what jitta is it that acts as patisanti jitta? It's not if they're roots, you know, with patisanti with roots. It's no longer santirana.
So then it can be the result of any kusala karma. So that's why great range. So it can be the result of kusala karma with great kusala karma with panya, or it can be any kind of kusala with 2 or 3 roots, or unless it's the santirana with panya or not with panya, prompted, not prompted.
Okay. I think this will require a little bit more study on my part, but that's opened up those 2 little sentences.
So a much bigger range of results of kusala. Yes.
Yeah. Which just, you know, just as a comment, it just shows that kusala is a lot more, say, powerful or precious than akusala. Seems like akusala is just, yeah, it's not a good rebirth, but with kusala there's a lot more, I don't know how to say it. It just seems it's more powerful.
And many more chaitasikas involved.
Right, of course. Yes. Yeah.
And they can be great of different degrees.
Yeah.
So it can be the result of karma with great understanding, great kanti, great sada, or much weaker kusala with no understanding. So many different degrees, many different chaitasikas involved. So big range of results.
Right. That's great. Thank you. Let's see if Anne has unmuted herself yet. No.
I also have another question, Sarah. Can I ask you?
Go ahead, Tam.
Viriya and Kanti, at the moment of direct experience, can Viriya or Kanti be understood by Panya?
Depending on conditions, depending on what appears. So I think that when it is strong virya, when it is kanti, and there is the understanding is strong, then it can be understood when the strong patience, the characteristic can appear by conditions, by accumulations.
And
Because
only
different from ordinary patience. Yes. Sorry?
And only Panya can understand that.
Yes. And only Panya understands. It's also just a Dhamma. It's not my great patience or my great effort. It's just a Dhamma arising for a moment and then gone. Nothing to be excited about. Just another Dhamma that is also dukkha because it falls away instantly.
So if we don't have the direct experience, we can assume there is Kanti, there is Virya.
There must be virya, but can we assume there is kanti if there is not much understanding, or if the understanding is taken for my understanding? So
Yes.
virya, because it's kusala, with any kusala or akusala moment, but the strong patience, the kanti parami, can only develop when it is the understanding of dhammas as anatta.
Yes, thank
When
you.
it's my understanding or my assuming this or that, then I don't think we can assume that is kanti at those moments.
Thank you. It's very clear now. Thank you. Very happy.
For a moment. Go ahead, Anne.
Yes. Can you hear me now? Oh gosh, I've got two machines going. No,
Loud and clear now, Anne.
really loud and clear. Yes, what you just said. Wait a minute, I'll cover it up. What you just said is, can you hear this in double?
No, it's fine. It's clear and fine. Yep.
Stereo here. What you just said is kind of where it is made it very, very clear, Sarah, that it becomes kanti with only with when there's understanding of the Dhamma as a Dhamma, not me, not self. So if we happen to casually think, oh, I'm patient. No. Unless there's understanding.
Yeah. I think that Jan can correct me or come in, but she refers to kanti when there's strong effort, even in an unwholesome sense. For example, when tying shoelaces or focusing on one's chopping of vegetables, and it takes strong patience, but it's akusala patience. So that can also be referred to as kanti, but of course it's not kanti parami. To be kanti parami, it has to be with understanding. It has to be strong virya with firm understanding, like now if there's understanding of the reality appearing now.
Yes, so the stereo is bothering me, but I have to remember it's not bothering you.
You are still connected on your other device, and
apparently so.
yeah, it's not a problem for us though.
Okay, I'll manage. The patience, the patients with akusala, and there's virya involved in that as well, correct?
Virya is involved with every kusala or akusala cetasika. It always arises with kusala and akusala cetasikas. But the virya, the ordinary virya, is not the strong virya, which is kanti.
Right. Okay, thank you. So
Like when focusing on a task, then it is stronger. So it's a degrees of virya.
So virya, that is, how do I put this? Virya is neither kusala or akusala. It depends on the other jetasikas it arises with.
Yes, it arises. It depends on the other cetasikas and the citta it arises with. Yes, it can be kusala or akusala depending on the other factors.
Okay, thank you. Like Azita, I'm going to have to listen to this again.
Yeah,
but certainly it was.
That's why it's a pakinaka, a particular cetasika. Yes. So it arises with every citta apart from 16 ahetuka cittas, rootless cittas.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. This is good. I'll have to listen to. Is it Saturday's discussion as well as
this? This one was the Vietnamese discussion yesterday afternoon, our time.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you. I will go over this.
Yes, and Ajahn may like to add more about akusala, virya, akusala, kanti too.
When we heard the word kanti, what do we think?
Patience.
Yes, but when and where and what? When we use the word kanti, do you have enough kanti not to get angry?
I see. Sometimes.
Really? So you know what kanti is?
Not directly, no.
But what about the food is so very delicious? Is there any kanti not to
No.
take it?
No.
See? So begin to understand what is meant by kanti in daily life. But what is much more than that? It's moment of understanding reality as it is. How much kanti it has to be parami, develop on and on and on and on. Understanding that is so very, very subtle. It let go the idea of doing something or try to experience it. See, kanti not to follow the desire to experience that.
Yeah.
So begin to understand kanti in daily life, not moment to follow, to be angry, at moment of hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, or painful feeling, see? Any situation of akusla, have kanti not to follow akusha.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, is there kanti?
No.
To consider the truth, is it not kanti?
Yes, that is.
Mm-hmm. That's right, learn to understand it without kanti. Can there be success?
No.
But it depends on whether it's kusla or akusla. But when it's akusla, no need to have kanti. It follows. Virya takes it
Okay.
instantly. That's why it is kanti parami in daily life as well. Because any moment of akusla is so very common.
Yeah.
But the moment of kusla is not as common. To be kind, to forgive, and forget the other's fault and so on. That's why Dhamma can be known in daily life, stage by stage, what is wholesome and what is unwholesome, what is vipaka, what is not vipaka, and what is kiriya without hetu, and what is made by kiriya with hetu. Learn to understand the subtlety of all kinds of Dhamma in daily life. Otherwise, if Dhamma in daily life is not known, it cannot be enlightenment at all. As long as there is still the idea of self lurking, even just very little, Panya has to understand that. Otherwise, it cannot be eradicated. Khanti, see? So much khanti, more than khanti in daily life.
Much more.
But now it's khanti in daily life too, hearing, considering, beginning to understand that Dhammas is not at anyone's control or at anyone's will to have it arise at all. Or by conditions. If there's no understanding of what is there now, it's impossible to let go the idea of self until it's gone completely, ultimately, never to arise again. Khanti in daily life, on and on and on, developing with right understanding. Because without right understanding, how can be the khanti which be kind to the unkind word, unkind person?
Right. So helpful.
It's interesting because the first examples that Ajahn mentioned, like the Kanti not to be angry or not to take the delicious food, for example. In daily life, it can be kusala or akusala patience at those moments, like one may resist from taking the delicious food because one knows it's not appropriate, not the right time, or one hasn't been offered it, but there may not be much kusala involved, or one may restrain from getting angry again because of the situation, or because one knows it's not appropriate. So it's patience, but only understanding can know at those times whether it's kusala or akusala, whether there's any kanti parami, or not following one's desire, not just running off following the desirable object. So it depends. So without understanding, it can never be known what kusala kanti is and how it's different from the unwholesome moments, or even the example of tying one's shoelaces. It needs a little more effort, but usually no kusala involved at those moments. There's no kindness, no generosity, no understanding, but it just takes more patience. So it is very subtle, I think.
So are you saying that the tying the shoelaces example, is that a kusala patience, or it's just, well, I guess it either has to be kusala or akusala, doesn't it?
Yes. Well, there has to be stronger virya, because that needs certain, what we conventionally call patience to tie them. Like children have to be taught how to tie their shoelaces properly. So it needs stronger virya.
Yes, I see.
Kanti. But usually it's akusala at those moments.
Well, in fact, it's difficult to imagine how tying one's shoelaces could be kusala, no matter how much patience there is involved in doing so. It's just not one of the kinds of kusala, dana, sila, bhavana.
That's true. Certainly on the part of the person teaching the tying of the shoelaces, that would require energy, patience.
There can be
Might not be.
a degree of conventional calmness involved and not getting flustered.
Mhm.
But still, could it be kusala? Not
Wouldn't-
unless there's some useful reflection somehow on the quality of patience. Well, you could reflect on the quality of patience at the time of not being flustered about tying shoelaces. And then it could be kusala, but otherwise, I mean, in practical terms, no.
Exactly. A little bit of patience before you flip out. Thank you. Thank you. That all helps.
It's interesting when I hear Sarah and Ajahn mentioning about the Kanti pyramids in a daily life. Normally, I'm thinking pyramid only in Dhamma terms. So, so when Sarah mentioned Kanti pyramid in a daily life, is that just like a normal understanding? It's not about the Dhamma understanding, or can you elaborate that? Thank you.
It is about understanding the truth, like in daily life, like just now, I went to make a drink and it's just daily life, but there can be understanding of the truth anytime. So patience to understand what is true, what is real, no matter the circumstances, no matter feeding the budgies, as Leanne was discussing, or being busy or not busy, or here or there, or going to the hospital, or coming back from the swim squad, as Jonathan did, just daily life. But there can be the understanding of the truth anytime, Kanti Parami.
And I think, Dhamma, we have to remember that it's all about daily life, because what is there apart from daily life? You said, can it be in daily life, or does it have to be in Dhamma? Well, there isn't anything apart from daily life, unless we have the idea of a practice as being something separate and distinct from daily life. But that's not the Buddha's teaching as we understand it. So whether we're talking about kusala or the paramis in particular, it's always about daily life and not about any special occasion or situation that has been created.
That is
Such an important point. Someone yesterday mentioned about how people who are meditators talk about Dhamma and Adhamma, suggesting that when one's not meditating or not in the meditation center, it's Adhamma or something like this. But everything is mixed up because of thinking of this situation and that situation. If one thinks that when one eats lunch or goes to the market, this is not Dhamma, then it means no understanding of what Dhamma is, what is the truth, anytime, any place. So I don't think about Dhamma situations and non-Dhamma situations at all, ever, whether I'm swimming or going to shopping or joining the Zoom discussion. Seeing is seeing, hearing is hearing, just the same. And that's why there has to be Kanti with understanding developed. Otherwise, one is thinking about a particular place, a particular occasion, a particular object, instead of understanding what is true anytime, anywhere, firmly confident.
Thank you very much. This is very for your clarifying. Yeah, very good. Thank you.
So whether like the very first time I met you and you asked about the wedding invitations, whether one whether one is arranging the wedding invitations and making the plans for the wedding many, many years ago now, or whether one is sitting in a quiet, peaceful Dhamma discussion. Seeing is seeing, thinking is thinking. When thinking about, oh, too busy to this or that, okay, it's still different realities, still different moments of thinking. So that's
Yes.
why Dharma is always this moment,
Yeah, the eye
what appears now.
strong. The eye is so strong. Attachment. Yeah. Thank you.
It's very good that you're still listening and still joining, Tam Tam.
Still asking real questions.
That's good. It's a way to learn, to discuss, to consider, to ask funny questions.
Sarah, I'm just thinking of your example of when we're swimming. It's all Dhamma. I mean, intellectually, we know that all the movements, everything, the seeing, the hearing, everything is the Dhamma. And one could be swimming and thinking about, I don't know, the sea, the fish in the sea, or thinking about the Dhamma. It's just Dhamma. It's just it's thinking. It's all thinking. And if maybe there's a little bit of understanding with the thinking.
And even when thinking about the fish, so many moments, so many opportunities for understanding, even at those times. It's still seeing, it's still thinking, it's just like now. So anytime, so it's not a matter of not picking the grasses to feed the budgies or not thinking about the fish. It's not about changing one's lifestyle at all, but just developing understanding of the truth anytime, any place. Otherwise, it's the wrong path. If one has the idea one shouldn't think about the fish or can't pick the grasses or needs to have more quiet time and less of a busy life, that's not the firm confidence and the Kanti Parami to understand just what is now.
Nor is it the confidence to know that none of these can be controlled.
Exactly, that they're all anatta.
Yes.
And I think we just have a few minutes left, so perhaps Ajahn would like to add a little more before we finish today.
Without a little more kanti in daily life, can there be kanti parami? That's why there can be moment of understanding kanti. The food is left so very little. Would you like to take it or keep it for the other, and so on? Any moment of kanti, little by little, can condition the kanti parami when there is understanding that the reality now is so very subtle. Kanti, not to try to experience it because it's there already. But kanti, to understand that which is there, has to be very strong kanti too, because of understanding that no other moment can be realized at all. Firm confidence of the truth of each word of the truth from the enlightenment. Is a true, just is a true until it's firm as such a barami. Never change at all. No understanding or seeing now yet, but it has to be begun anytime by conditions, all by conditions. How much kanti is there not to try to do anything to understand the truth. That's why I learned about the subtlety of all dhammas. in order to let go wrong understanding that it's very easy to understand Dhamma. Not at all. Even right now, it's just the understanding the truth intellectually. But not only that, intellectual cannot let go the idea of self forever at all. But the understanding of the truth at any time as anatta, all by condition. It's not my will to have such and such reality be experienced to be known. So that is Khanti too. Is that right? No matter what we are talking about Parami, it is so very subtle because it's there in daily life to understand the truth. Otherwise, when there's no understanding of the truth, how can it be realized? See, that's why understand the subtlety of each reality of each word. For example, Dhamma, no matter what, it's real, it's there, it shows up, but no understanding of the truth, that it's there to be known only that very moment, not other moment at all. That's why this is the way to let go attachment and ignorance very gradually with patience, that it cannot be known instantly or in quite few years or few moments. That's all. That is Satya Barami, with Khanti Barami, Panya Barami, Nekama Barami, Adidana Barami, all Baramis together. And now it's Barami too, listening to the truth. Be patient to understand the subtlety of what is there that can be realized. When time comes, when conditions are ready, not by anyone at all, but by understanding the subtlety of what is there right now. Because it's now appearing, not enough understanding of the truth of it yet, but right understanding can gradually develop with patience, courage. Is that true? That's all. When it's true, it's part of me. What kind of part of me? See, no need to find out because it's understanding the subtlety of all dhammas that can be realized, but not now, yet. So I think it's time now to say Swadika.